Hello guys, the DB Grinder here, back at it again with another video, and this time we have 28 of the top 32 Ycs Niagara deck lists. Also, shout out to Lund for making the Google spreadsheet with the deck list on it. And with that being said, let's go ahead and hop right in. So, the first place list was Ycs Sister. Just going over it real quick. I'm 100% honest. I haven't built Ycs Sister, so I don't know, like, if something's wrong or not. Necker Valley's cool. This card's broken. And you'd think it'd probably be bad in this deck, though, right? Just because, like, you want them to touch their grave. But I guess, like, you don't need them to touch their grave. If they can't play, then, like, that's probably just good enough. So it makes sense. And side decking, like, the Zombie World, too. Playing 41. Side decking Gamma. This card's cool. Oh, that probably outs the... Yeah, that's probably for Warlords, most likely. Utopia Lightning, Cowboy for Time. And then we can go ahead and hop onto the next list. I'm not going to spend too much time on every list, just because there's so many of them. And then this was the second place list. This was just Tier Danger. Playing 3 Salic, 2 Gizmek. It's like drawing R-milling this card is good in a lot of scenarios. It's just, like, only awkward going second when you draw it, when you have to, like, break a big board. And playing Dangers, no Chupacabra, 1 Bigfoot, 2 Gizmek, playing the Jet Smashers, an Eradicator, Super Polynib. Then a Gave Dragons, cards for time. I'm pretty sure we're going to see, like, most lists have a card for time. Also, Spooky Dogwood, this card's really good in time. But this card's also just, like, good in general. I talked about this before. Card is nice. It's just a threatening roar depending on the format. I don't think... Because I wanted this card to be good a couple months ago, but it wasn't good because you would just get Scythe locked multiple times, so skipping a turn didn't matter because they'd skip multiple of your turns. But I like that it's actually popping up now. I think that's cool. And then we have the third place list, which is just Tier Element, Pure Tier, with a bunch of going second cards. You know, Helfinus, Veilers, Moonlit, DD Crow, Nib, Imperm, and then, yeah, I mean, the list looks solid. 40 cards. I think Pure Tier, like, really has to be 40. Like, you actually cannot go to 41, especially because, like, in Pure Tier, there's just no reason to ever go to 41 because your deck has so much space for everything. Like, realistically, you could cut like 3 hand traps and throw 3 more engine cards in here if you wanted to, and the deck would still work. So it's like never a reason to go like above 40, especially when like all your mills are like super important. Unending Nightmare, Cosmic, Side Decks Cowboy for time, Bahamut Shark, Bahamut Shark and the Toad. You can also just like make Toad with 2 Miri, which is cool. And then we have the fourth place list. 2 Salic, they played the Sprite cards, the Dangers, and the Punks, so just, like, maximum power turn 1. A deck like this just plays through infinite hand traps every time. Yeah, it just has a hard time going second into a mirror match, assuming that they set up, like, a good enough end board, which most of the time they can. And then side decks, the Skullmark Ladybug. Dweller, has the anti-magic arrows. This card's cool, especially because I feel like a lot of people right now, like, Evenly is definitely in the format. It's something you have to think about. So if you say end of main, there's a good chance that they're just thinking it's Evenly. But if you just say battle phase and activate, this card is good when nobody expects it. The second people start expecting this card's value goes down a lot. Because you'll just be like, oh, end of main? Okay, activate Floodgate. It's like, you still want to go to battle? It's like, fair enough. If you have Evenly, it's going to be like the same result anyways. And then on to the next list. So these are the top 8 lists. We have Sprite, main decking 2 Smashers, the Dupe Frog, and then just, an absolute abundance of hand traps. And I don't know if I like this list that much. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like Paulo's list a lot more than this. This one kind of has like the extra engine cards in it that you don't really need. Like, Also, you don't really need desires. I feel like prosperity is just better in this deck. And then also, Dupe Frog's kind of bad. I was testing this card a lot, and no, I don't want to play in the Super Poly more than I already have to in a lot of scenarios. Sometimes you'll end with like Red Elf, but you have two Smashers. I guess just because they were expecting a lot of Mystic Mine. On to the next list. Okay, we have the Danger tier. We have the High Spirits, the Albion, the one Eradicator to go set, Mystic Mine, Imperm, Super Poly. Mystic Mine's really nice. It works with the one Terraforming very well. The Gave Dragon for Time. Appaloosa. Appaloosa's crazy right now because people hold Nib until, like, okay, they hold it until either you Gigantic or they hold it until like after you've made Dweller, and then they hit you with Nib, and that's like really good. So if you just like Appaloosa early on, sometimes like you'll just catch a lot of dubs from that. Deck Devi in the side just destroys Sprite. Reaper, this deck plays tier cards and Sprite cards, so you have that going for you. Then on to the next top 8 list. We have a Punk Danger Sprite list playing the Droplets, Super Poly, Eradicator. Place 3 blue in the deck instead of just 1 blue like most people are doing. So they really want to draw it. Yeah, it's not bad to draw, right? Like if you can like kit tag out in the Miri and then summon blue, you're probably winning. But I guess to be fair, if you kit summon Miri, you're probably already winning because you get so much out of that most of the time. Only 2 Rhino. Maybe it's just because they're trying to cut down on the normal summons. And then, because like Miri's also like not a horrible normal summon in this deck. I guess there's only 5 sprites, so odds of us drawing a Miri plus the spray isn't that high. Side deck's Dweller, the Skull Mark, Spell Canceller, the Anti-Magic Arrows, Red Reboot, Nib, Gamma. And then, yeah, as you see, like, very little, like, actual going first cards. Like, you could put in Spell Canceller. Like obviously you could put in Spell Canceller going first, but, you know, it's not like a lot of lists where, like, they'll have, like, 5-6 cards dedicated to going first. Just because, like, the list is so strong at going, like, if you win the rock, paper, scissors, shoot, the match is almost just over. It's, like, really hard to lose. You have to play against a deck that is built with, like, a lot of hand traps and very prepared for something like this. On to the next list. We have another pure list, playing 2 Salic, 2 Dynamiscus, 2 Ash, outplays the Supreme Savior. Yeah, this card's cool. I remember seeing a lot of people playing this. Like, this card right before tier, like, actually came out. It's, like, Rhino Heart. It's like budget Rhino Heart. And then Snow. Side deck Skill Drain, D Barrier. Does not have a card for time on their list. Okay. I guess like 45-minute rounds definitely helps out a lot. But it can be kind of whack though, because like, let's say you go first in the match, right? Like game 1, you win rock, paper, scissors, shoot, you go first, you combo, you pass. And they try like playing through the end board and like, you know they can't do it, but they obviously don't know that they can't do it yet. And then like a lot of time gets wasted. It takes a little bit to actually end the game. And then game 2 they full combo, you try pushing through. Game 3, boom, guess what? Cowboy comes up. And you can like make Cowboy come up too, because like game 2 a lot of people will just like scoop when there's a big board in front of you and like you know that you lose. But if there's like 8 minutes left, like, you could just try pushing through it. Because, like, they could just really mess up and you could just win the game. Or it just takes enough time and then you're like, okay, well, I'll just admit defeat. Game 3, boop, Cowboy. And it's like, okay, I either Cowboy you and I win, or I don't Cowboy you and we draw. So, on to the next deck. This is the top 16 now. We have Sprite Live Twin. Playing the 3 Sunny Snitch because this can either grab you a starter or extender. Blue's better than red because blue summons out Frost, which gets you a draw. And then 1 Econ, 2 Prosperity, 43. Playing one of each of these. 3 Ash, 3 Code, 3 Imperm, 3 Droplet, 3 Dark Ruler. I guess like Dark Ruler is good versus like Sprite decks, but it's like very awkward in the tier a lot of the time just because you can't push through their end board even with a Dark Ruler because they still have so many interruptions. Like even if they like okay they could have like just Snow and that could still be kind of tough. And then like you throw a Salic on top of that with a tier. That's tough. You throw a field spell in the rotation too, a Huffiness in hand, starts getting a little bit like ridiculous. And also they can like sometimes the end board can also just like beat Dark Ruler, right? Like we could just Eradicator you, call spells, Spell Canceller you, and then side decks another Smashers, Cosmic, Lightning Storm, Reborn, Change of Heart. Mannequin Cat, this card's nice, especially in this build, because like you have these, so you can like use these into this, and then easily get to your Sprite cards and do like the normal like Zeus, Gigantic combo. On to the next top 16 list, we have Flounderies. Oh, this is Anthony Wu's Flounderies list. I actually posted it the other day on my channel, so if you want to go hear him explain some of these things, you can go ahead and check that out. We're not really going to go over this. It is just Flounderies. Like, there's not too much crazy about it. And then the next top 16 list, we have Danger Tier with the branded stuff. Eradicator, Super Poly, Imperm. Doesn't have the Mystic Mine in the main like the other one did. 3 Salic. Side decks the Reaper Nib. Deck Devi, a Gabe Dragon for time. Has the Dweller in the side deck. Has the Appaloosa. Yeah, it's like if Appaloosa starts getting more popular, then you're going to have to start playing your hand traps a little bit differently. Which, it's like this deck could just play through every hand trap all the time. Except for Shifter. That card ruins this deck. That card ruins every deck, though. On to the next deck, we have Sprite. We have 3 Beaver, Prosperity. So decides to go with Beaver over Diva, which is interesting. I think if you have spots for like all 3 of them, you'd rather play Diva over Beaver, right? Because Diva's a tuner, so it gets you to a hand trap, so that way your end board beats Dark Ruler and stuff more often. I think Beaver is only better than Diva if Beaver, like, if it's the 39th and 40th spot, and you can only play if you can only play 2 Beaver or 2 Diva, I think you play Beaver over Diva because it allows you to have the follow-up. But if you play 3, I think Diva's better. Like, Hulk into a hand trap's really nice. And then on to the next list. This one's on Twitter, but shout out Paulo PRRJ. I think this list is really clean. I don't know if I talked about this list before on the channel because you also topped, as you see, YCS Rio with it. But I think this list is really nice. Plays 19 hand traps. The only problem I could see is like you not having extenders. So sometimes even if you do hand trap your opponent, like they could like still end on an interruption and beat you. But a deck like this could definitely get you through Swiss pretty easily. Feel like top cut, it would start being a lot harder though when you start playing against better and better tier players. Because then hand traps don't mean as much. But I still think it's a solid list. On to the next one. We have a Live Twin Runic Sprite list. I hate the Runic cards so much in this deck. It's so bad. It is. I don't care how many people top with this. It's just so bad. Like, skipping your battle phase is just not worth it to get like it's because the thing about these cards is like how I see them is they're kind of like striker cards. Like, this card is Engage or Hornet Drones. This card's an MST or Hornet Drones. This is a Popper Hornet. This is a Negate and Hornet. But if they didn't have the skip battle phase part, these cards would be crazy. But they have the skip battle phase part, and I feel like that is just way too important. Also plays the Beat Cop without a Mystic Mine. Okay, maybe using it to try to protect Fountain, but no, we only played 9 runic spells in 45, so that's definitely not the case. Oh, there's also like 12 hand traps in 45. Again, like these cards somewhat help. Also plays 3 MST, 1 Offerings, and 2 Imperm. Yeah, this list is very, very wild to me. But also side decks to Blue, that card's cool. Red Resonator for time. Mannequin Cat, 2 Huggins. I also don't like how there's 1 elf there, 2 elf there. For 1 second, I was like, no, no. On to the next list. We have Sprite Runic, 42. Then plays 2 of the MST, 2 of the Offering, 3 Rhoda, 3 Imperm. Plays a bunch of hand traps. Yeah, see, I think this build is a little bit better than the last one. Obviously, this one doesn't have the live twin cards in it. But I think if I was to play the Runic cards, it'd be somewhat like this. And then side decks more Smashers, of course. People just don't want to lose the Mystic Mine. Judgment, evenly. Plays it. Yeah, this card's for time. This card's crazy in time. I'm not gonna lie. Because you just go, okay, I'll go end phase, activate spell, special summon, effect gain 1,000 life points. You have to have Gamma. If you do not have Gamma specifically, if you have Imperm, cool, effect tag out, and I'll still gain 1,000. Broken. Then we have Adventure Sprite. Doesn't play the Pixies. Plays 2 right, 3 Temple. Plays the Illegal Knight. It's interesting. Just helps this engine be better going second. Swap Frog, Beaver. This card's crazy. Decides to play 3 of the Beaver, even though they are playing the right cards. And then Prosperity Nib, Droplet Dark Ruler. Yeah, I just feel like this list would have a very hard time into danger tier, right? Because like you lose the rock, paper, scissors, shoot, you get hit with Eradicator, you probably lose. Oh yeah, Eradicator against this build would just be devastating, like every time, I feel like. Ooh, side decks the Ultimate Slayer, has that, the Elder, and the Trouble Sunny. Side decks the Evil Twin, got Red Resonator for time. Plays 0 Burrows with IP. On to the next list, we have a Sprite deck, Pure Sprite, playing, again, Beaver over Diva. I guess maybe it's just because these people don't want to play Hulk. That has to be it, because like Diva's better than Beaver, but Diva needs the extra deck spot. Then plays a bunch of hand traps, 40 cards, decides to play 2 Smashers. Side decks Dinomiscus, Trap Trick, Sanctum, Scythe. Interesting ratios on these, by the way. 3 Barrier, 1 Trap Trick, 2 Sanctum, 1 Scythe. You feel like it'd probably be like maybe like cut a D Barrier, add a second Trap Trick in. I feel like that's probably how it should be done. Maybe it has something to do with their side deck patterns that I'm just not recognizing or thinking about. And then Degusto Phoenix. Card helps going for game for sure. And then we have Mathmech, 42 cards, playing 2 Super Factorial, 1 Equation, 1 Induction, plays the Nabla, and Multiplication. That's not the Sign of Crosswipe too. You really don't need this card. This card outs Mystic Mine, and if they're playing Runic, then neither of these cards are ever outing Mystic Mine. I guess like if they beat Cop the Mystic Mine, but I feel like that's just so like old now, and like that just isn't being done. I feel like that was like really, really, really good for that one event, and then after that event, it just really died down. But insane idea for that one event though. Side decks the Silent Graveyard, Alpha. Looking at the extra deck, has the Synchro. They're playing the Nabla, Multiplication, the 1 Splash Mage, the Unicorn for the IP. Plays 2 of the Leprechauns. And then next list. Oh, by the way, this is top 32 at this point, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's just gotta be. I feel like I've gone through so many of these. 1 Rhino, plays the Pixies in the tier build. That's just gotta be wrong. There's just no way. you don't even want to draw red really. There's just no way you want to be drawing pixies. I guess like it helps make that engine a lot stronger. Like one starter. Starter's awkward because like if you draw it, you have to like wait to use it because you can't just like use it and then do tier plays. This actually looks very, very, very similar to like with the frogs and everything. This looks very, very, very similar to a build I was testing not long ago with like the 5 dangers too. And then the bomber, the nightmare griffin. Okay, curious, dweller, toad. Yeah, the frog stuff's nice. The frog stuff's definitely nice. A lot of people like stopped playing this stuff and stopped expecting it. So then like when your end board just like, no matter what happens to you, your end board is at least just having 2 toads in a lot of scenarios. It's really good because that's like follow up plus interruptions. And then next list, we have 42 card sprite, 2 prosperity, 2 Veiler, 1 ogre. Ogre for E-Telly / Hauk. 2 Veiler. Plays Diva. And then you see like anti-spell, warning. This isn't like that crazy. I mean, it's not something that you see that often, but I feel like I got used to warning a lot because like Fusion Destiny format. Like I remember seeing warning, but I guess it's cool now. What would you use this for instead of judgment? I feel like judgment is probably better in most scenarios than warning. But warning does hit a few different things. Like if they go like summon gigantic and use the effect, like instead of having the judgment to summon, you can warning the effect. That's like a scenario. That's like a pretty big difference, right? It's probably not even like that big of a difference though, because they probably don't have enough monsters to keep going. You don't have like enough interruptions to stop them from having 4 monsters and the 2 gigantic sprites for free. But on to the next list. We have a runic sprite list, 42 cards, playing the Ipera. I've been hearing about this card a lot. It's pretty, I mean, it just says summon draw. It's very, 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 very simple. It does help, like, you can, like, elf summon it back and start getting draws. You get gigantic summon it out if you've gone through. Because there's a lot of hands where, like, if you draw, like, a swap frog, like, you easily get to, like, the sprite things, and then, like, you just get a free summon from deck. You just summon Ipera instead of going for, like, a random carrot. So, that's nice. And it also helps with, like, the runic cards, because, like, once you start going through multiple of them, then Fountain can start coming up, and then Fountain gives you, like, once you Fountain draw, like, 2 cards in this deck, it feels very, 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 very good. Place Fangs, 2 Huggins, and Munnin. Whoa. Okay. That's wild. Playing 4? I guess this comes up, like, you get a pop off of it. If they attack, this comes up for time. And these just come up as being the level 2s, but I don't know. Is there there's no way that all 4 of those come up. Maybe they're just playing out the hands differently. Play Zeus package. Side deck's Curse Seal, by the way. That's crazy. What is this for? Like, I was gonna say runic. Probably 4 runic, but it's a very interesting choice though. On to the next list. Well, we got Sprite runic with 47 cards. 2 Beaver. Oh, this is just wild. I don't even know what to say about this list. It's just so many cards. Underworld Goddess, IP. It doesn't look like bad. It'll definitely work. You're not gonna brick. It's like, but once you start playing this many cards, you just stop drawing your good cards as often. Like, you're not gonna be seeing starter as often. Like, it's really important to draw these kind of cards, like starter, nib, the better hand, because like you want to be drawing the better hand traps more often. So like when you start going over 40, like you want to have like reasons behind it. You don't want to be going too far over 40. Maybe they just want to play a lot of runic cards. And like also play a starter, like a Beaver. Because a lot of the lists don't play like Beaver or Diva if they play runic stuff. And then this is a Adventure Sprite deck. With a little Nimble package. Doesn't play hand traps. The Econ Super Poly Imperm Talent. It's just so risky. But I don't know. I guess this is why we saw like a lot of the Sprite decks kind of like lose very quickly in Top Cut. And then like, because like at the beginning of this, when we were looking at like the top 8, there's a lot of tier. And then it really starts seeming like there's a lot of sprites. So like obviously like somebody was beating the sprite players in Top Cut. That's because tier has a good sprite matchup. I think this deck's I think sprite is really good in Swiss, but bad in Top Cut. So like if you're trying to win the tourney, it's like harder to win. It's like you could say it's harder to win with sprite than it is with tier. But then like if you play tier, what happens if you start playing mirror matches, right? Like that can be tough too. Interesting. Red Resonator for time. Let's go. We got Babushka. We got Muddin for time. Wait, what? okay, yeah, because I saw Reinhardt. I saw Muddin. Yeah, the tier runic. I tried this. The idea behind it is really cool because you get the mill and you get the mill runic cards, and then you go fountain, draw for every runic card you mill is equivalent to a draw. So that's like really big. This is also crazy. I'm looking at it more. There's like no going second cards in it. Besides Hafinas. And then I guess like these are like some like semi-going second cards. Yeah, so it's just crazy. Playing the Swap Frog, the one Zephyros. Side decks Red Resonator. Definitely, like this player is winning. Every time they go to time, you have lost. You have lost that game. The TC Boo Anti-Spell, they play Griffin. Has Fangs, Huggins. I guess, yeah, Fangs could make a little bit more sense in this build. Playing a very solid amount of runic spells. Sometimes you draw like a destruction going second that's not going to do anything. You could go like battle, summon, attack, crash, get a pop. And it's also a level 4, which is really nice. And then this build we got Danger, Punk, Sprite. Oh, this looks very similar to one of the lists that we looked at earlier. I feel like this might just be that list with like 2 extra cards in it. And it has, yeah, anti-magic arrows too. Yeah, they definitely worked on the list with the other person. Going on to the next one. We have Extra Sister. Oh, this is Ryan Yu. This is, I'm pretty sure that they said it was like card for card, same as the other guy that topped. I forget his name. It's like Raymond Dye, something like that. Something very similar to that. I'm very bad with names, but good player. And then we have Sprite Adventure with Beaver, 40, Dark Ruler Talents, Econ. See, this also looks very similar to the other list we saw earlier, but this is like 2 less cards than the other one. But that is it for the video. That's the last deck profile. A lot of these I really had nothing to say about at the end, just because like once you've gone over like 5 sprite lists that look almost identical, you're really just looking for like the little niche things in it. Like, okay, they decide to play Adventure. Do they play? How many Beaver do they play? How many hand traps do they play? How many Smashers? Do they play hand traps? Do they play the hard going second cards? And they decide to play the hard going. Oh, there's also Nib. I don't know how I missed that. But I mean, obviously, it's not gonna like change it very much. Like playing 3 Nib isn't gonna like, I don't know. Dark Ruler Talents, Econ are all very interesting. Again, I feel like if you play a build like this and then you play against like a bunch of Sprite and Swiss, or maybe even tier players that don't know how to combo very correctly, then a deck like this could definitely do extremely well. Like if you play against all that throughout Swiss, a list like this could go undefeated, X1. Side deck D barrier, anti-spell. But yeah, with all that being said, that is it for the deck list. And again, shout out to Lund and the other people that worked on the spreadsheet. Otherwise, this video would not be possible. And with all that being said, the DB Grinder signing off. Peace. Have a nice day. Stay safe.